So welcome to the next section, and in this demonstration we'll be showing you how to create a therapy, how to find various therapies, put them into the therapy window, run the program, also how to save them. We'll also cover looking at channel 2 as well. So let's get into it. So we've opened the program, we're currently in the patient record, and I've gone to open patient and selected our training test patient here. Just as a reminder, for the programs to run, this does need to be connected to the BICOM, but in this demonstration we haven't got it connected to a BICOM, and that's why you see the red text here saying device not connected, but it's not saying demo, so we've got the USB license dongle successfully in the side of the computer. So we're now in the correct patient. The master data is showing here. We also got the programs that we ran on the last training video. These are stored in the memory of that patient, and so they're a useful place to see what we ran on the last session and previous sessions as well. But let's go to therapy, because that's what we're going to be discussing today. So we like to keep this a little bit tidy, so if there's programs left in this window from previous sessions, just click delete all, and this keeps this part of the screen nice and tidy, and we won't get mixed up with things that we're looking for today. So you'll notice here that there's therapy programs tab. There's also a substances tab. This is in the current version, the substances and therapy programs. Now substances are based on the CTT test results, so any tests that you've done in the CTT will be shown here and can be used in the therapies, but that will be on another training video. So we're just going to be focusing on this tab, the therapy programs. Now if you've been using the BICOM directly, then you'll know that it can be quite challenging to find programs because you're having to punch the individual letters using the keypad. So if you were trying to find liver, you would have to at least type LIV into the screen of your BICOM. But with the software it's much quicker to be able to find the programs, and there's different ways of doing it. So the first tab that you come across here is category, and if you click category you'll see that there's the programs have been placed into various categories. So for instance, if we went to addictions, it will only show the addiction programs here and programs that are used for addictions. So there's other things that you might think, well, they're not related to addictions, but improving intestinal flora, for instance, increasing powers of resistance, they are useful programs to run with people with addictions. So usually the categories are not too long, so you can scroll down and find them, but they're normally automatically sorted by the numbers. So the lower number is here, it's normally populated in this column, so you can see 1, 2, 5, and the numbers go up the longer the number, or the higher the number. And for that reason the newer programs with the 4 digits are always at the bottom, but you can change this. You can click this tab here which says sort alphabetically, and if you do that, of course all the names of the programs become alphabetical regardless of whether the low deep frequency or program sequences. If we click on this one, it actually sorts by the frequency. So here the frequencies are quite low, 10 Hz going all the way up to 139 kilohertz. So that's another good way of sorting things. So that's just useful. But by far the easiest way to find programs is to have all ticked here, and then type in the word or part of the word to find the results down here. This is got to be words, it doesn't work for numbers. So if I tried to type 430, the liver program, nothing shows up. But if I type liver, it brings up all the liver programs here. So that's very useful. You'll also notice that there's a category here for specialist fields. So if we just delete the liver section and bring all the programs back up here again, specialist fields are a bit like categories, but you'll notice here that there has got listings for sort of tumours and other categories. But if we go to specialist fields, you'll see how they differ. So obviously smaller, but it's look at pathologies really. So neurology, if we click neurology, it still brings all the potentizing programs up there, but there's nerve programs, shock therapies and so on. If we tried the surgery, you'll notice that there's pain programs, there's scar programs, there's tissue regeneration and so on. So that's fairly useful now to have the specialist field categories there. But let's go back to categories and let's begin to put together some sort of therapy program. Now if you will go back to putting a liver in here, now what's useful about this is you may think, which one do I use from here? Well, you can actually click each one and it gives you a preview here. So as we know, H and DI is harmonizing and inverting disharmonious frequencies, and usually on those there's has to be information from the patient. So there'll be an electrode placement somewhere, there will be items in the input cup, so that could be a useful program. And then if we click the information here, this information button relates to everything in this screen, so left side, left side. If we click information, it says that this is a meridian program and you use the nutrient point part of the manual. So if you didn't want to do a meridian program, then you just close that, and let's go to liver treatment. Here again it's the same, H plus DI. We click information, and here it's telling you that you place the large flexible applicator on the right upper abdomen, so that's near the liver. And then input cup would be according to the results, so you'd test saliva, you'd test blood, other items. These information screens are really useful because one side is input, the other side is output. So again, if you've been used to using the BICOM screen, you'll know that these are done over a series of screens rather than just one like this, which is useful. If we move down to another one, we'll notice that this is A, so there's probably something needed in the input cup that's a therapeutic. So here we put blood and saliva and electrode in a similar place, modulation mat on the back. Liver detox here is showing as a program sequence, and if you want to know what's made up in the program sequence, this will tell you the electrode placements, but it won't tell you what the individual programs are, so you would need to move them over into this screen. To do that, you can double click, or you can use this arrow here. So double click with the left mouse button, moves it across, and here it's got the two separate programs that make up that sequence. The good thing is about program sequences is the electrode placements are the same through both the programs, or if there's more than two as well. So if you wanted to check what electrode placements these are, if you hadn't done it on this side, you would need to use this information button, because everything on this information button relates to everything on this side of the screen. So as long as that's highlighted blue, we click information and it tells us the electrode placements again. To remove that, we can move it back like this, and so on. But for this exercise, we'll show you how to create a standard basic therapy program for an hour. So we always start with a basic therapy, and we scroll down to the newer basic therapies down here, and let's say we want, and we tend to use the 20-minute ones, the 20 and 24-minute ones. So let's say they've got normal energetic state, so you've done a test and their CV value is 83, say. We need to move that program across. So just for the sake of this demonstration, if I highlight that once and move it this way, you'll see that it puts it here. Electrode placements are at normal basic therapy with secretions in the input cup. And then we want to add the next program. And because it's likely that there'll be a change of electrodes, we have to put a pause in here. If you didn't put a pause and you ran a program, so let's pick the next program. I'm going to go for the allergy preparation, so I just need to put allergy P, double click that, and as you can see, these programs will run one after the other, and there'll be no opportunity to change the electrodes or change something. So I'll highlight this because it's just before the allergy preparation, and I'm going to put a pause in. So now when this basic therapy stops, it will pop up a screen that prompts me to change something for the next. So we'll do the same again, and we'll put pause after the allergy prep, and then I'd like to run a general detox. So I'm going to go general D, that's all I need to do. And here it is, detoxification general. I'm going to move that across, and then I'm going to add another pause, and I'd like to finish with the candida therapy. So I'm going to put candida, and I'll just check what this one is. So information, but I need the candida mix ampule, which I've got, so that's useful, and I'll move that across, and here we've now got the full lineup of the therapy. So you can, if this is something that you do pretty much for most new clients, you can save this as a therapy so that you don't have to input all those items again. So I'm going to go to here and say save therapy list, and it's asking me where I want to save it. So the safest place to do this is in documents. We need to create a new folder for this. So I'm going to right click and go new folder, and I'll call it BICOM programs, BICOM lists, or BICOM therapy lists. And then I'm going to call this something a bit more useful. So steps 1 to 4, CV 80 to 89. So steps 1 to 4 as in the basic through to the candida therapy, the CV value of 89, and then I'm going to save it. So let's say I deleted all these by mistake, and I thought, oh, I need all those back again. We go to load therapy list, and it was documents, BICOM therapy list, and this is the one. Click here again, open, and it populates all those therapies again. We will have a bit more in-depth training on the therapy lists in another video, but that, for the purpose of this, that's just how you can quickly save a therapy list. Before we go on to looking into the substance complexes, I'll show you what it's like when how the pause works. So let's say we're starting the program, and I go start. It's asked us normal questions. Are the applicators ready? Input, output, chip, channel 2, DMI for instance. I'm just going to put continue, and now the program's running, as we can see here, for 10 minutes, this one. I'm going to simulate it moving on automatically by clicking the down arrow on my keypad. So move down, the next program's running, move down, final program's running, press down again, and then now we can see that this pause that we put in has prompted a change. The BICOM has stopped now, waiting for further instructions. So we just simply click the I here on this pop-up box, not the other two, and it tells us. Now the patient is sat already with the left hand on the plate, modulation mat on the back, and we have saliva in the input, but we now need to add blood, BL. So we take some blood from the patient, put it in the input cup, press close, and now we can move on. Next. And it prompts us again, have we made the changes? Continue. So now the next program is running, and so on. And this will happen for all the pauses that we put in. So now we'd like to add substance complexes into this. So we'll go stop for now, and here you'll notice down here, it's easy to find, it's right under the start button, and it's probably put here so it prompts you to use channel 2 before you press start. So we go to channel 2 selection, and here it's a more advanced layout than what you might have seen before. And just to remind you, if you're not seeing this, you need to go to extras, pilot options, and ensure that this is ticked here, channel 2 extended sequence assignments. If that's ticked, you will see this more complex layout. What this layout is here is it actually shows you the programs that you're going to be running in channel 1, and we can select substances to run alongside these. So let's demonstrate that now. So the radio button here is without channel 2, which means we're not going to run anything in channel 2. In external, we can put our own products into the physical channel 2 cup, the yellow cup, and we can type in here what it is that we're using. So let's say it's a particular herb, and then we select a duration of 4 minutes, and we test it. Say we wanted 10 amplification, and we move it across there. It will say that for 4 minutes herb is going to be delivered for there. So that's using our own substances. Obviously you'd be more specific than just herb, but we normally just use the substance complexes. Interestingly, if you use a substance complex and that's running, so that's frequencies built into the BICOM, if you put something physical into the external cup, it will still bring those frequencies in, because it activates the second channel cup even if you've got substance complexes. So there's not really a need to use external unless you're only wanting to use that specific product. So let's just remove that now and remove that, and we go to substance complexes. So here you could use categories. This is a very useful thing to use and test. So we go to select category down here, not up here. Select category. At the moment all is clicked, but I just want to untick that and go dermatology. Press OK. Now here you can just select the ones that you'd like to use, but you can test them. So let's test these. So I'm going to go start test. So the setup would be that the patient is on the modulation mat, your test plate is facing the patient, you have the tensor in your right hand or left hand, whichever way you're handed, with the tensor between the patient and the plate, and then we're going to start testing them by sending these frequencies. So let's test acne rosacea first. Start test. And the tensor is going left to right, so they need that one, so we're going to go apply. It's now moved on to alopecia, and this isn't resonating, so we go does not apply. But the common acne is resonating, so we go apply. Eczema does not apply, neither does that one. No resonance again, no resonance, but psoriasis is resonating. Oh, and so is skin, so we go apply, and sunburn does not apply. So we can use all these that have tested positive. It's saved the results. So if we go assign all that apply here, it will put all of these in for 4 minutes, because we had 4 minutes already selected in the duration. So we can see that that's very useful. Now we'll go back again, because we've still got all these other options to use. So we go click in this white box here, or click select, and let's pick another category. So we go down to categories. Our patient has also got endocrine problems, so we click endocrine, go OK, and we'd like to test these. So we start the test again, and to speed these things up, we've finished the testing, and we want to assign all that apply. You'll just notice these 5 here, assign all that applicable, and it's filled these in here. And we can do some more. So go to select category again. Our patient has got also neurological issues, so we click there, and again we start the test, and this applies, this doesn't, this does not apply, this applies, this one, and this one is getting resonance. Apply, apply, does not apply. Again, assign all that's applicable. So here has popped up a message because we've selected more channel 2 programs than the length of the channel 1. So that's okay, we'll go okay for now. And we can see here that channel 2 continues. So we can just click that and remove it. And now channel 1 is running just slightly longer than the channel 2. But these can be changed. We can remove that and change the time. You can't change the time without when it's in here. You have to do it before it's put into this box. So we removed Parkinson's, so we will select that, go select here and assign. We'll run that for 6 minutes, and we'll move it across there, and then we'll need to remove this one. So we can see here you can control the time, 4 minutes and 6 minutes. And again, we've gone a little bit further, so we can change this to 5 minutes. That's probably all that's needed. So this is a very useful program now, because we've got a full hour of therapy followed by lots of useful tested channel 2 substances. If we go to the back to the therapy program, we'll start to see this now. So therapy program here, you can also go up to here, but therapy program. Now we'll see in this box all the channel 2 substances have been applied. So if I go to simulate the start of this and press start, we're now running the basic program along with acne rosacea, and as I move down to the next one, it will jump. Now it's missed one because this was 10 minutes, so acne rosacea and common acne would have run during that 10 minutes. So as I've moved down to the next one, we're now on psoriasis and so on. So all these channel 2 substances will be run during all these. So I will just stop that. Now because that took quite a bit of time, you might want to save this again as a therapy list. So we go to save therapy list. Now I'm going to, it's the same program as this, but it's got the substance complexes in now. So if I just click it, it will change the file name, but I'm going to add here substance complexes. Now I might want to assign this, because there was quite specific, the substance complexes that we used, I might link it to the patient. So I might put the patient's name there and go save. So let's say that all these got deleted. If we go back to load therapy list, we'll have now 2. We've got the original one. Click that so you can see how it works, and it's just got the standard therapies. But if I go, I'll delete all these again. If I go to load therapy list again, but pick the one with the substance complexes, open, we've got all the programs along with the substance complexes. So this is really useful if you have patients that you give a regular therapy to. So say all new patients, you don't necessarily do testing, but you want to put common things in here like Epstein-Barr, Candida, Lyme disease, all the things that you tend to find with the patients in your area. You can create a standard therapy and it will save you a lot of time getting started. So almost as soon as a patient walks in, you can begin the therapy with all the substance complexes. So I'm just going to delete all these now and show you how to search for a program with the program number. So as you get more proficient, or if you've looked at your therapy manual, you may have found a program that you want to use and you know what the program number is. So this is very straightforward. You just type the program here. So if you type say 155, enter, it drops this program in here, and again you can just see what the applicators are. If you type a program that there's got options in it, so let's say we go to 430, you'll notice that it goes green. Now you can't just type if it goes green, you can't just click in enter, because I'll show you what happens. If I go enter now, it puts 430 in there, but there's absolutely no information about that. So if it goes green, 430, you have to click this down button here and it gives you the options now. So 430.1 is torbidness, 430.2 is liver detox, and 430.3 is wart treatment. Interestingly, if I click this, something you might not know, but the frequency, the amplification and the interval operation and the therapy time and the wobbling and other parameters are all the same for all the 430s, and I can show you that here if I put the other ones in. So liver detox, next one, all stay the same. What does change is the electrode placements. So for the liver, it's on the liver area. For the next one, again, that's the same. But for the wart treatment, you put the knob applicator on the wart area. So that's the only thing that changes. So when you're using programs, you must make sure that you're using the point if it's got other programs associated with it. You can put longer programs in here, so the program sequences, for instance, that's the general detoxification 146, so you can use the longer programs here and sequences, which again is very useful. I'll just tidy this up again just to show you how to individualize a program. So this is often for more advanced therapists who are maybe used to creating their own programs, or they've been taught to test amplification and all the parameters before they run a program. We don't feel that this is necessary for most patients, because now there's so many programs in the BICOM, you can test to see which program that they need. But to highlight the program and click individualize, and it brings up another screen, and here you can change the therapy mode, the band pass, which you can test. So if you click test, you can set your speed test here and just press start. So again, you've got the tensor between the patient and the plate, and when you get resonance, you press stop and it will put the new result there. You can change the low deep frequency range, and you can test the amplification, which is usually the most common one. So do the amplification and we press start, and as soon as you get resonance you press stop, close, and it changes the new amplification there. You can store it as your own therapy program, and then that will be stored on the Pilot software and in your device, or you can just add temporarily and so on. You can even check test channel 2, so there's plenty of test options on here. But we'll go back to therapy now. Another useful feature is being able to explain what you had in channel 1. It may be that you've done some testing and you need something in addition to blood whilst you're running this liver detoxification. So down here in substances you can put channel 1 in input from test. So in here you can physically type things, so type blood and then and stool, for instance, and then enter on the keyboard, and we click that and go start. So the program's running just the same for 4 minutes, but if we stop that and then we go back to the patient record, so we go to patient here or up there, and you can see that we ran the liver detoxification in the input cup. We had blood and stool, so that's useful to put that information there so that you can monitor the effects of the therapy that you ran. If you're wondering what this large box here is for, that's if you've got the Multisoft test program, because if you've tested on that Multisoft program, all the substances that you're bringing from the test are all populated into here. So that's why if you're not using the test, you'll never see information stored in here. If you would like to be prompted to do these things, then you can go up to extras and then warnings, and here you can tick when you want the program to let you know of things that you may not have done. So we've got this ticked here, remind us to do a backup. So every time we close the program, it will prompt us to do a backup. If there's a connection problem, also to add CTT substances. So if you've got the CTT test kits, then you certainly want to be using them in the therapies, and this will prompt you to do that. We've unticked this one here, adding more than 6 therapy programs, because if you've tested them and you're staying within the hour, then you don't need to have that prompt coming up all the time. It will come up every time you add another program into the therapy box, which can be a little bit annoying. But those are the warnings that you can change yourself there. So I'm just going to go back to our nicely prepared therapy lists with the substance complexes. So now we're about to run the basic, the allergy prep, the liver detox and the candida therapy with all the substance complexes. But now we'd like to run the DMI, the Schumann generator, at the same time. Now this button can be clicked here at any time. So it doesn't matter if you've started the programs, you can click here either during a program being run or before. It won't make any difference. This is a standalone module connecting straight to the BICOM. So just a little bit of an explanation as to how you use this. Alternating is an option along with amplify and attenuate. So let me explain that. If somebody's energy, their CV value, was below 80, then you would want to amplify them, bring their energy up. If their energy was in the normal range, so between 80 and 89, then you would give them alternating, which would be a little bit of lift and a little bit of down, or a little bit of amplify, a little bit of attenuate. And then attenuate would be if somebody was in the 90 to 100 CV range, you would attenuate. So our patient was 83, so we only need to do some alternating. The intensity is really the patient's size. So a small child might be 1 or 2. You can change with these arrows. An average build person might be 6 or 7, and a very large person will be 10. That's as far as it goes. So we'll go to stick with 7. Duration, you can run it for just a short time or a long time, depending on how the patient feels. But because these are very useful and we don't really have any side effects with the DMI, we run for 36 minutes. So this will just stop 36 minutes into this therapy session. So we'll click DMI, and you'll now see that the yellow button shows it's active. And if we go to start on here, we have now got the applicators placed, input and output are correct, the chip is inside the device, channel 2 is here, all filled, and the DMI is operational too, and we go continue. We've now got 2 yellow buttons showing that it's active. The basic therapy is running with the substance complexes, with the DMI. 3 things at once, very effective. So we'll stop all this and we'll delete all here. And let's say that you only wanted to run a substance complex. Now this might be an unusual thing to do, but it might be that you have a patient that's particularly weak, or they may have had therapy the day before and you don't want to give them too much therapy, but you'd like to give them a single therapy complex. So we'll go back to this button here, single therapy substance complexes, and we'll go to category. This time I'm going to go to all and untick neurology, and we want to give them something for anemia, say. So we've highlighted that and we clicked select, and the selected substance complex, we want to do it for 10 minutes in channel 2 and then we go start, and now channel 2 is running on the BICOM, and this will stop after 10 minutes. The potentizing program, you can run these programs for potentization, and you can so this is a little different place to doing it here. Normally they're all shown here on the main therapy window. And just a little tip that we like to do is, if we want to test a particular potency, we find the quickest way to do it is to click the main program at the top, and then whilst clicking the up key on the keyboard, highlight your mouse over the lower one, the bottom one, click it, and it selects all of them, and then we move them all across, and you can start that running and tensor test, and press the down key to go down those list of potentizing programs. So we prefer to do it this method. We find it's a lot easier, and you can quickly identify the correct potency for that patient. And then let's say it resonated on this one, then we just simply stop and double click these till they clear, and the one we wanted is there, and that's quite straightforward, and that will be documented in the patient record too. So that's another way of using the potentization program. I'd just like to highlight a common mistake when choosing channel 2. If we go to channel 2 now, and then we click on substance complexes, if you can't find what you're needing, or these lists don't look right, it's possible that you've ticked the categories. It might be a category error. So let's say bacteria. If bacteria and all are already selected, nothing really changes here. You've still got all the substances. If we untick all, you're only showing bacteria. So just check that. Also, if you've got a number of categories selected, so here you can see I've got a good maybe 5 selected, so you think, right, I want to check all those, and you go okay, you think, oh, what's gone wrong? I'm only seeing the bacteria still. Well, this is why you need to go down here next to the select category, and you can see there's a little arrow. If you click that, it will move you to the next category. Can you see how that works? And then you can go back that way. So that's just a common mistake that we get calls about. Don't forget those little arrows. Another common problem that we get is, let's say you found something that you want to use, you press select and you go assign, and you think, yep, I want to select that. Oh, I've gone back again. Assign, why can't I move it over here? This is grayed out, so I can't do anything with this. It's because you haven't selected a duration. So select the duration, 4 minutes for instance, and now this bit it becomes highlighted and you can move it across. So that's why it doesn't work if you haven't selected duration. Another useful tip for channel 2 is, if you've selected the correct substance complex, you've not yet put a duration, and you go select here, you might want to run that substance complex for the full length of that program. So if you notice, if you move your cursor over, it changes to a question mark and a clock, and if we click it, it will put the duration, the exact duration of that program. So we move it across. Let's try that again. Let's have the next substance, which is automatically defaulted to 10, but if we click on here it defaults to 5 and we move it across, and so on. Again, which is useful. If you ever get stuck, there is a useful tip down here, which is an extract from the pilot manual, so refer to this if you're a little bit stuck as well. So that concludes this section on using the therapy programs. In the next one we will show how you can test programs and apply the ones that are resonating, including channel 2, and that will give you a little bit more insight into using the various programs more effectively. So catch you later.